Our second fractions lesson. So in your jotters, get yourselves ready. Please write today's date and title. Be sure to underline that for me. If you are going to decide to open this up at a later point on a slideshow, opening it up by a PowerPoint, remember that you can try and view it as a slideshow so that it's more interactive by clicking, if you have a look up at the top of the screen here. Oopsie daisy, let me just get there we go. You can go up to the top bar, click on slideshow and view from beginning here, okay? And that's pretty universal, okay? So what are we going to do today? We're going to understand improper fractions and mixed numbers. And I'd like you to be successful by showing me what an improper fraction is. And if you're really going to push yourself, you should be able to convert between mixed numbers and improper fractions. So, to get yourself started today, let's see what we can remember from yesterday. So for the mild task, the denominator indicates how many slices a shape can be cut up into and is the bottom number of a fraction. True or false? Have a think. Now for your spicy and hot, I want you to write the fraction represented by each letter on this number line. So if we have a look, oops. I think I've blended my blusher very well. If you have a look here, A is here, B is here. What are the fractions? Now you've got to remember these numbers here. Okay, so this is one whole here. This is two wholes here. Okay, and if you're going up here, you've got to count how many sections it's been cut up into. So think about where your denominators are going to be. Okay, let's have a look at the answers for these. So it is true, the denominator does indicate how many slices a shape can possibly be cut up into and is the bottom number of a fraction. So that's true. Let's see what A is here. Fantastic. Okay, I hope you got that. So for A, it is of course 2/3. Now I know this because my piece of string here has been cut up into 3 equal pieces. And I'm going to ignore this bit because I don't need that information. All right, I'm just looking at, because we're not quite past the one whole yet. So this one here, 1, 2, 3, this has been cut up into 3 equal pieces. So I know it's been cut up into thirds. This whole thing here has been cut up into thirds. 1, 2, I have 2/3. So my numerator is 2 and my denominator is 3. But look what happens for B. Okay, now if you got this one right, this is you starting to look at mixed numbers. Okay, so this one here, I have a really big 1 because this tells me that I have one whole thing already, but I also have a bit of a whole. So we're not quite at 2 whole things. I've got one whole thing, but I'm not quite at 2 whole things yet. Now I check to see what it's been cut up into. 1, 2, 3, exactly, brilliant. So I know my denominator is in thirds, and I've only got 1/3. So my numerator is 1, my denominator is 3. Okay, give yourself a big pat on the back if you got the green answer there. Well done. If you made any mistakes on that, why don't you have a wee look at the stuff you were doing yesterday, or you can revise the basics by clicking on, oh, going the wrong way, that link there. It is mathsisfun.com/fractions, and it just covers the things that we were doing yesterday. Okay, but BBC Bite Size has some great videos as well. Let's have a wee look. What's next? So, to show what an improper fraction is and to show what a mixed number is, let's see what we're doing. Let's have a look at this example. What does it show? Now, some of you have probably seen this example from yesterday. Have a wee look at this. What does it show? Okay. Oops, let's have a look. So you can see here, I have 2 whole pieces of pie, or pizza, let's imagine a pizza. I have 2 whole pizzas. So if someone asked me, how many pizzas do you have? Miss what? I'd say, well, I've got 2 pizzas and I've got a bit of a pizza, a bit of a whole pizza. This one is irrelevant because I don't have any of it. Okay, you don't talk about the things you don't have. That's irrelevant, so we ignore that. That's just there to throw you. Okay. Now, if I were writing this down, I could have written an improper fraction like this to show how many slices of pizza I actually have. We're not talking about the wholes here. We're just talking about the slices of pizza. So what I have done here, if you look at the denominator here, says that my whole pizza is usually cut up into 5 pieces. And you can actually prove that here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my denominator is 5. but my numerator tells me how many of those slices I actually have. So I've got 5 here, I've got 5 here, so that's 10 in total, and then I have 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 slices of my pizza, and my denominator is 5. So that would be 13/5. The key thing to know about an improper fraction is that the numerator is either the same value as the denominator or larger. So I could have written 5/5 if it was an improper fraction, or a number that's larger, okay, on the top. Let's have a look. But I could have also written it as a mixed number. Now, some of you have probably done that in your jotters when you were looking at this, okay? Now, what do you think a mixed number could be? Let's think about our warm-up task. Of course, what I've done with my mixed number is I have identified exactly how many whole pizzas I have. I have 2 whole pizzas, 1, 2. And then I've identified what fraction I've got left over. So my numerator is 3, 1, 2, 3, because I've got 3 slices out of a possible 5 slices, which would have made up my whole. So you would say I have 2 and 3/5. What do you notice? Is there anything else you notice about that that you would like to maybe think about a bit further? If you have any questions about that, or if you want to raise a point about these things, go ahead and let me know by either writing a comment in the comment section on YouTube, or writing a comment on Teams and letting me know what you think. Or even better, please raise it at our Wednesday meetings. I'd appreciate that. Okay, so let's look at these a wee bit closer, all right? So we've had a look at improper fractions. So the numerator is the same or bigger than the denominator. Okay, so up here I've got my numerator is 5, my denominator is in halves. So it'll be 5/2. This one here, this also shows an improper fraction. It shows 2/2. Okay, this one here shows an improper fraction as 4/4 because I've got all 4 of them. This one here shows 7/4 because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7/4 out of a possible 8/4. We go down here, this one shows 5/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, daisy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/3 out of a possible 6/3. And over here, this one shows 8/5 because you guessed it, I have 8/5 coloured in out of a possible 10/5. Okay. But a mixed number is slightly different. A mixed number is a number that consists of... Cats are going wild outside. Hope you heard that. A mixed number is a number that consists of a whole number and a proper fraction. So a proper fraction is one with a numerator that's smaller than the denominator. That's usually what a normal fraction would be. So a proper fraction. So this one here shows a mixed number. It shows me I've got 2 wholes and I've got 1/3. Magic. So can you think of even more examples? So for everyone, I want you to maybe try and I want you to draw a diagram just like my example here. And I want you to show me an improper fraction. So remember, an improper fraction is this one here. It means the numerator is greater than or equal to the denominator. I want you to draw your picture, just like my picture here, this example here. But you can do your own one. Then I want you to write it as an improper fraction, like this. And then I want you to write it as a mixed number. I then want you to take a photo of this and share your diagram and your fractions with your teacher. Now you can send it to me on Teams, or even better, why don't you just post this to the post page on Teams so everyone can see everyone's answers for this one. I think it'd be great if we're all sharing our learning on this. Or even better, send it to me on Twitter, and that'd be really good to see. If you want to be really creative with it, I know there are quite a few creative kids in our class, why don't you create a poster to show what an improper fraction is or a mixed number is, okay? Give that a go for me. Once you've done that, you can continue with the rest of the lesson. So, how do you convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number? Okay, let's have a look. So you could start by drawing a diagram to visualize the problem, just like you did in the mild or the red task, okay? Or, now this is if you're thinking of going for a spicy or a hot task here, an amber or a green task, or you could divide the numerator by the denominator. the remainder becomes the new numerator. Oh, sorry, yeah. So if you're thinking, what? You've just blown my mind there, Miss What? Click on this link. Now I've sent you the link on your learning grids, so you can click on that link and it'll explain this a little bit more for you. But let's have a look to see what I mean by that. So if we have a look here, I said that what we have to do is divide the numerator by the denominator, and the remainder comes the new numerator. So let's have a look at this example. I have 7/3 up here, okay? And if you have a look at this example here, it shows me that I have 7/3, okay? Now, to make it look like this, what I have done is I've divided 7 by 3. Now, we know how to do that, don't we? We know that 7 divided by 3, there's going to be a remainder. It can't be done. So I would know that 7 divided by 3 is 2. So you can do it twice equally, but there is a remainder. Okay, now it's a remainder of 1. So it would be 2 remainder 1. So my 2 becomes my whole number, because I definitely can't do that. I've got 2 whole things. But then my 1 becomes my new numerator. The denominator stays the same, that stays thirds, but my remainder becomes 1. Because 7 divided by 3 is 2 remainder 1. Now you can have a look and you can actually visualize this problem. This is a really good way to do it as well. So you can visualize that problem, okay? I've got my 7/3, and you can actually move them together to see how they can connect in. So you can see I've got 7/3, so 7 divided by 3 is 2, remainder 1/3. But if you are converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction, again, that's even more different. So what you do is, you could start by drawing a diagram, just like we've done down here, to visualize the problem. Or you could multiply the denominator by the whole number. So if you look here, I would multiply, so I have 2 3/4. I want to turn 2 3/4 into an improper fraction. So what I have done is I have multiplied my denominator of 4 by my whole number of 2. So I would do 4 times 2, and then what you've got to do is add your numerator. So remember in primary 7, you've done lots of work on BODMAS, so you know the rule of BODMAS is you do your multiplication first, then your addition or subtraction. So I put it in brackets, I will do 4 times 2, which is 8, and then using our rule of BODMAS, we then add the 3. So 8 add 3 is 11. So I have gone from 2 3/4 to 11/4. And again, if you're thinking, actually that's going to be tricky for me, you've got the visualization problem here. So you can visualize it and break it up into 11/4 by drawing it out. Okay? Okay everyone, now it's time for your challenge. So if you're looking at the mile challenge, I want you to write those as improper fractions, and you can use, to meet our success criteria today, you can use the visualization method. So you can, I've already drawn the diagrams for you. I want you to count your numerators, see how many you've got, write it down on top, and then work out your denominators. Now remember, top tip, if it's an improper fraction, the number needs to be larger on top. So the improper fraction, the numerator is larger than the denominator, or the same. If you want to challenge yourself, why not just write them down as mixed numbers as well? Okay, see how you get on with that. But for spicy, what I want you to do is to turn these improper fractions into mixed numbers. Now remember the rule for this, you can go back and watch the videos, or you can just remember you're dividing your numerator by the denominator, and if there's a remainder, that becomes your new numerator, okay? So for example, 5/4, 5 divided by 4 is 1, remainder 1, so it would be 1 1/4 is your answer. And for your hot challenge or your green challenge, what I want you to do is to turn these mixed numbers back into improper fractions. And you do that by multiplying your whole number by your denominator and then adding that to your numerator, okay? I'm now going to show you the answers, so do pause this, pause, do your work, and then come back and check your answers. So here are your answers. Give them a mark, pause it, see how you get on. Now what I want you to do is to mark your work and send a photo to your teacher. self-assess against your success criteria and let your teacher know what you did well and what you would like to work on. So here's your success criteria. Now tomorrow we will be exploring equivalent fractions. So have fun!